the fuck just happened? What kind of this? Oh god, Brazil is a. Oh god, I fucking hate this track. It's never straightforward at this goddamn track. It just fucking pisses me off, man. And I was starting next to that absolute one prick that is Alonso. I don't want to be nowhere near that prick during the race weekend, you know. I don't trust him. Oh god. Fucking hell, Haas is on pole. What the fuck? Oh, this is madness. Oh shit, a Haas is on pole. Fucking oh, never thought I'd see that. I guess what's his name? What's the fucker's name? Ross Brawn can say, you see, I told you a midfield team would surprise. No, any variant. Ross Brown is gonna say, "See, I told you that these rules would surprise. It would surprise you. See, a midfield team on pole.
Oh man, as much as as much as I'm gutted for Lewis because I think he was. It was just about the time that he was setting that sector and George pinned it. But
George,
the pole is this is
huh?
amazing.
This is mad. I literally can't. I literally can't believe this. I
Oh,
literally can't
it's
believe
a
this.
horse on pole.
But Mercedes been fucking up the whole run plan all week from qualifying started. Man, like,
No,
yo,
I
why
think they
you?
wanted to say. I think tomorrow is dry, and they wanted to save a tire. Or look, why is Lewis going out?
Yeah, but even so, but they're putting him at risk. I mean,
No, but can
Lewis
Lewis
had to do it
improve
the
his
last.
position? I think. What's the
Nah,
time?
it's no, it's intermediates. A 112? Hell no.
No. They're doing 18th or 14th in the intermediates, and that's also when the track was drying. There's
So
no way.
George fucked up and benefit from his fuck screw up. Yo, I can't believe this
Hey
shit.
man, it is what it
Oh
is. But
god.
I think at least the race has a sprint element to it, so I think Lewis can improve his position tomorrow for the main
Yeah,
race.
I mean, he just needs to clear that bum that's Alonso because he's starting next to him. I don't like when that man is anywhere near Lewis on
George
a
is absolutely
racetrack, man.
crazy.
So George finally, well, I still hasn't qualified Lewis in a normal qualifying since the start of the summer break.
Yeah, even
He
Hungary was
hasn't.
the fuck up. So
No, but since since Spa, he hasn't out qualified. Has he out qualified Lewis since Spa?
no,
You sure?
not without issues for Lewis. No.
No, since the second half of the season, has he out qualified him at any race? I can't.
Uh,
I can't recall. I can't
how
recall.
is Leclerc P10, man? That's wow, fuck.
Yeah, because Ferrari are fucking idiots. Ferrari sent him out at intermediates while everybody was on soft tires. Like, come on. But anyway, why am I saying Ferrari are fucking idiots? It's like we pretty much know Ferrari are idiots. Anyway, you can't expect nothing else from them than them being absolute idiot. Oh god, this is the worst frigging team in Formula One. And Anik is out here telling me Lewis should go to Ferrari because they'd give him
Man,
the
I just didn't wake up and
huh?
I just didn't think that that he'd be on board. That's amazing.
I mean, oh,
That's amazing, man.
I thought Mercedes. I don't know why they didn't just send Lewis out first earlier instead of putting him at the back of the queue. But I don't know, man. At this point, I'm like, yo, the season is pretty much over, so I don't give a fuck. I don't even know why I'm still watching this shit anyway. I'm invested all my time into this nonsense.
Hey, and like I said, I'm gutted for Lewis. I just still wanted to see him higher up. I didn't expect pole out of a wet qualifying. I think in a fair qualifying, Red Bull was the faster car anyway.
Mm-hmm. But
Right, so
but
I
he,
was expecting like somewhere around P3,
yeah,
P4.
probably could have taken one of the Ferraris and George. It
Oh,
would. I think the highest he probably could have qualified probably was P4. Because looking at
Yeah, I think that's what I wanted to see for him, and then fight for the race and so on.
but look, Lewis in the sprint race, he just has no luck with the fucking sprint races, does he? Because
And the earlier sprint races were actually pretty crap in terms of
no, but
when they came
yeah,
out.
but it's
No.
overall. I mean, he's only ever scored points in one of the sprint races, right? And that was in Silverstone last year. Was the only one he scored
Yeah.
points in. He has never scored any points in any of the other sprint race. Because yeah, at Silverstone.
Yeah, but the points go down to P8 now.
Oh yeah, it does. Yeah, it
This
does.
year the points go down to P8.
Is it this year or next year?
No, this year the points
So what
go down to
does
P8.
the
I
winner
think.
get?
8 points, I think.
Okay, I thought.
No?
You sure? You sure it's not next year? The points go down to P8.
I think it's
Who
this
knows?
year.
Somebody near can tell us. Somebody tweet, put a comment under this and let me know, because I'm not 100% sure it's this year. I think it's next year. It goes down to P8.
To be honest, I'm just happy seeing that the team that I don't like, they didn't get pole because they had the fastest car out
Yeah,
there.
but
they're by miles
because
the way it was heating up its tires and just going out, it was the fastest out there. There was no question. In a fair qualifying, they would have just got it.
Yeah, I would have hoped that was Max would have probably
just
Huh? What's that, Vims?
I just hope that K-Mac does all that terrorism that he's been doing to Lewis whenever he starts next to Lewis, to Max tomorrow.
We already know he's not gonna.
No, I think it's the other way around, because Max has the inside line into turn 1, so I think the terrorism K-Mac will face some terrorism.
So Max is gonna do what?
But why is Max looking disappointed? Like, he should take his L's. Like, he's gonna be winning tomorrow anyway. Like, he's looking like he just lost. Like, I don't know. Well, now he's smiling.
No,
guess.
Because I think there's a large chunk. Because given that Red Bull has been the car that it has been, his pole count this year has been really dismal.
Exactly. I mean, how many poles does he have this year?
Like 6.
6. Oh fuck! It just shows you how much Ferrari is really fucked up. Seriously, because Charles has what, 9? Because Charles won the.
No, Kevin. I'm sure Kevin doesn't even know where to go or what to do.
Because Charles won the
be honest,
trophy, right?
Yeah, Charles definitely has it. Like, he has like 9 or 10 poles this year.
Oh God, I'm so glad this season. This is my last race of the season anyway, because there's no fucking way I'm sitting down watching Abu Dhabi next week. Sorry.
What if it's the one that Lewis wins?
No, then I'll
watch it after. I think Thanos will watch it after that.
I'll see it on the news. I'll listen for it. I'll listen up for it. I'll see it on the news. If he wins, then cool. I'll watch the replay after. But I don't want to sit and watch that shit. I'm gonna suffer. It's gonna give me PTSD if I see it. So I don't want to watch it. Yo, Anthony, what's up?
What the fuck have I just witnessed? Pardon my language.
I had some.
What the fuck have I just witnessed?
Rain start to fall. Man who set the quickest.
And that tall, lanky guy spin off and pose a red flag. Dickheads. Dickheads.
You call him?
What the?
It's not George's fault. Let's not blame George now.
So then whose fault is it?
Exactly.
It's his fault, but Lewis wasn't even improving when he binned it.
Well, how can you say it's not George's fault then said it's George's fault? Which one is it?
Exactly.
I mean, it's not George's fault that Lewis is starting P8.
Well, yes, because he binned it and he basically brought out the red flag.
Yeah, but when he binned it, Lewis wasn't improving, is what I'm saying. So
where was Lewis on the track?
Technically,
Where's Lewis on the
I think he had 18.5 in the first sector, and George had done an 18.1 or whatever. And then he had his second sector.
I think the point is it's about bringing in the tires, and I think that it's.
I know, he was bringing in the tires, but he was just out of luck.
Lewis was behind George, not ahead of him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He was.
Yeah, because you're saying.
Yeah, he was definitely behind.
Yeah, because you said something about.
Yeah, I'm just saying that George binned it at the wrong time when Lewis was still doing his laps.
Exactly.
So,
No, everyone
just
was like I said, like in a fair qualifying, everyone was doing their laps. In a fair qualifying, Haas would not have been
Of
on
course,
pole.
Haas would have been dead last.
Yeah.
They'd have been dead last.
I think they're a good qualifier, so they'd be around like something P6, P8. They would have beaten a couple, one or two cars maybe with bad luck.
They'd probably beat one of the Alpines or something like that.
Yeah.
Because it's what? It's K-Mag, Verstappen, George, Lando,
Sure.
Sainz, then it's Ocon, that racist dude, that racist Spanish dude, Lewis. Who's in ninth? I don't know who's in ninth.
Perez.
Damn. That's all I'm.
No, Perez is absolutely dog shit. Like, how are you so far low down? Because Perez had a lap. Leclerc didn't have a lap.
Yeah, but Lewis had a lap, and Lewis' lap wasn't good enough. So I mean, you know.
No, but like, in terms of where the comparable time is, it's so far off.
Yeah.
He did have a chance to actually finish his lap.
Oh.
I think he was behind everyone else, Perez. I think the time he did was on Inters, I think. Because it was 1:15.
Time was on. The only guy on track on Inters was Charles. Everybody else was on soft tires.
Well, I'm saying maybe on his soft tire run, that's when George bent it. I don't know. Because there was like 8 minutes left.
He had already set a time.
Was he that slow?
Yeah, he had already set a time. Shit. So hold on. So the Red Bull got out qualified by a Haas. That's embarrassing. That's embarrassing, dude. That's seriously embarrassing. But anyways, can someone tell me if the points for the sprint race goes down to P8? Because I'm sure it's next year.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's this year. It goes down to P. Yeah.
You sure?
It goes down to P8 is one. I think P8 is 1 point.
Yeah.
So it goes down to.
So okay, where was the first sprint race this year?
Let me just check.
I just need to know where the first sprint race was. Okay.
Was it Austria?
Hold on.
I think.
Hold on.
Just someone can tell me. I can find. Then I can find.
Yeah, give me a
second.
Race. The first sprint race was Ilmon.
What?
The first sprint race of 2022 was Ilmon.
Ilmon? What the hell?
Where's that?
Sorry, Imola. Sorry, Imola.
Imola.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. I'm wondering what the hell you mean. Okay.
Sorry. Yeah, Imola was the first sprint race.
My stuff doesn't give me the results for that sprint race.
Yeah.
I think we were really bad in that race. I think.
Huh?
Yeah, we were, because that's where Lewis.
I think didn't score any points.
Lewis was. Yeah. So Thanos, it's like this. Points will be awarded as follows: first place 8 points, second place 7, third 6, fourth 5th, fifth 4th, sixth third, 7th 2, 8th 1 point.
Okay, cool.
So that's the sprint race and all that. So
look, I needed Lewis to qualify George because I want him to because he's only 15 points behind him. Yeah. And Mercedes gave George 2 free points recently. Have you guys noticed that?
For like the fastest lap.
Yep. The last 2 races.
Well, to be honest, does it really matter if he finishes ahead? It's not like unless like George wins the race, miraculously. But I guess he could tomorrow.
I still want him to finish ahead of him, though.
I think you'll need to win and like George DNF or something.
I mean, George is already DNF'd already, so it's not like it's impossible, and he doesn't need to DNF.
I think he would have to like be out of the points.
Well, not really. Lewis finished P2 in the next 2 races, and George finishes outside the top 3. That's 16 points. That's enough. That should be enough points to get him ahead of him.
I don't think Hamilton's finishing P2 tomorrow on Sunday.
I said
it depends how high he goes up. It depends how Alonso does tomorrow.
Why do you think he's gonna finish P2 on Sunday?
Because I feel like the Red Bulls will be ahead of, Perez is behind him, but Verstappen is ahead of him, Ferraris, and Russell is there as well. And I'm irritated after this session because they came out, they all knew they had one lap to deliver, it was going to rain.
They didn't know Hamilton was 8th. They didn't know they had one lap because, I mean,
They told them, the engineers told them the rain is coming.
Yeah, but George was going
They were all on the slick tyre except from Leclerc.
Yeah, but George was
so they all knew it was a one shot. They had to deliver that first lap, was critical. And Hamilton was 8th and Russell was 3rd.
Yeah.
And then Russell messed up. So this is on Hamilton.
How can you say it's on Hamilton? They were going for a second lap. They still could have done.
Yes, but everybody knew that first lap was critical.
They still had time to do a second lap because the rain didn't come until what? Well after the red flag. So they still had a chance to do a second lap.
But I think they had chances for 2 laps back to back.
So I don't get how you say it's on Lewis.
Because if you take that into account, there were a lot of people who didn't even even commentators were saying Ferrari is going to get out of their fuck up for that.
Yeah, when Leclerc changed
even
after the tyre.
Interlap, and they did a cool down lap and came back in, they could have still got a lap on the board that would have landed them in a reasonable position.
If George didn't crash out, they would have had time to do a second lap. It's a short lap. It's not that long.
Ferrari fuck up actually mattered because they had time for all of that. So
I'm disappointed, and I feel like tomorrow is it's gonna be hard in the sprint. The Alpines are ahead of Hamilton. Alonso is there.
So
tomorrow's gonna rain as well, right? Like tomorrow's.
I'm actually not sure.
Because I'm a bit confused because you seem every time if things don't go Lewis's way, you always go at him and say like it's on him. Like
I think this is on him.
So what if the Alpines are in front of him? So you're saying he cannot pass the Alpines?
No, I think he will. I'm just saying it will be more complicated. Like, it's not like he's in the top 2, 3, right? Then it's more straightforward.
Yeah, but
3, yeah. But with the Alpines, I feel like basically they can mess him up. Or it will take a bit of time to get past them. And then by that point, the others will be a bit ahead.
Yeah, but
it'll be more complicated.
So he's racing. He's racing for a better position on Sunday, not tomorrow.
Not for tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, let's see. Fingers crossed he can get really high up tomorrow. But I'm just disappointed. I really want him to finish ahead of Russell. But
early in the year you said he wasn't gonna finish in front of George. So how now you changing?
No. Early in the year, I admit I thought that Russell was beating him like purely. Remember, I came onto one of the spaces and we had the. I remember it was like maybe like July, August. I came on and I admitted I apologized. I said I made a mistake and I did. Like he's wiped the floor with Russell. I don't think Russell is quicker than him. That's not what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
I was basically saying I'm disappointed because today, by not doing that well in the first lap and then obviously Russell crashing out, that has now messed him up for tomorrow and potentially Sunday.
No, it hasn't.
I don't see. You can't really blame someone in conditions like this. It's the luck of the draw. Someone's gonna looks good and someone's gonna look stupid. In this case, K-Mag looks good because he was first out and he got the lap on his first lap. So it is what it is.
Yeah, and I think this could have happened in Q1 as well. Like when Gasly got on the softs earlier than everyone. Yeah. If the rain came at just the right time, like he would have been in the pound seat where jumping everyone up. Bottas made that decision to do an extra inter, and that fucked him up.
Exactly.
It was really marginal in terms of a lot of cars out of place in terms of where their actual pace is, and you look at how far down the other Haas is. That's P20, dude.
If anything, I'd say is in situations like this, try be at the front of the queue.
Yeah,
at the front of the queue.
Yeah,
but then you also don't have the chance to react. Did you see that both the times Red Bull sent out. There were 2 times when Red Bull sent out Perez first on a different tire and then sent out Max.
Mm-hmm.
No, I didn't.
When was that?
You didn't. I think that was in Q1 and in Q2, and then even to test out the inter theory, they just sent out one driver so that the other cars could be saved.
You know what kills it? Lewis, George has got a pole. Now Magnussen's got a pole.
So?
Not even Lewis.
So?
Jesus.
Okay. I mean...
And they happened in rainy conditions, not just like magically, guys. So like, let's not say Lewis can't get pole. It's the car.
What do you mean it's the car? If George can get pole, what are you talking about?
But what?
Yeah, what conditions did he get pole in? Did he just get it when it was dry and sunny?
Wasn't it when he got pole? Wasn't that when Hamilton's DRS wasn't working?
Yeah, it was.
If I'm not mistaken.
And he was faster than George by
he was faster than George that
in Q1 and Q2, and then his DRS didn't work.
Oh, yes.
I'm not worried about Hamilton's pace. I think like I said, I apologized and I don't know early in the summer when I realized.
I looked at the numbers from Canada. From Canada until now, George has not beaten Lewis in a race where everything has gone straight forward. And he hasn't
wiped the floor with him
in a race where things has gone straight forward for both of them. I think so. When you look at races where it's a straightforward weekend, George has been soundly beaten. All right, hey Trevor, what's up?
Yeah.
Listen, Mother Nature reigned. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin was putting in some consistent laps. He got P1, deserved it.
Yeah.
End the story. George beached it. Whatever. The real question to me is part of the conversation we had earlier in the season. If you are Leclerc, what do you seriously do since you have the longest contract in Ferrari ever? Like, what do you do, man?
Look,
what do you do?
If you're Leclerc, then probably just.
I commented on a fake tweet the other day that says apparently Mercedes are trying to sign him or whatever, and I said and I repeat what I said early in the year when this same conversation came up. This is what's going to happen at Ferrari, between Ferrari and Charles. One of them is going to get fed up of each other. It's a matter of who's going to get fed up first. Is it going to be Ferrari or is it going to be Charles? Because once one of them gets fed up, they're going to part ways.
No, but I think when you were talking about that fake tweet, I think from that, of course, that's not Mercedes wanting it. I think Charles desperately wants a Mercedes-like team. It's not Mercedes wanting him, but it's Charles wants to get out of there because what the fuck was that? What were they doing today?
I mean, that
last-minute calls and he could have still saved it. Like if on his outlap they immediately said just come back in. They said it right at the point where he crossed the pit exit in entry line.
I thought I was watching a race, and I'm like, "This is quali. How is this happening in quali?"
No, bro. Charles needs to consult some, some voodoo specialist. Think about what he's done wrong in his life.
But this is why Ferrari hasn't won anything since 2008. They're not a functioning team. It's a dysfunctional team.
Ducati won something.
They cannot get. They'll get one thing right. They'll get everything right once in a blue moon. Once in a blue moon,
Ducati won something this year.
Right. But you rarely find a weekend where everything goes right for both sides of the garage. Every weekend there's a problem with one of them. It's a dysfunctional team. And I said it before, and the reason for that is there's not a winning spine in that team. There's nobody there that you can look at and say, oh, you, apart from Binotto and Jacques Clerc, because Jacques Clerc came over from Mercedes. But apart from that, who you can look in that team, who you can say, look at as a figurehead and say, you know what? They know how to win. Nobody.
Thanos, I think this was being spoken about when Ducati won their championship. Even Ducati has won after 13 years. Man. What are you doing?
Not even that. And Ducati is going to win the World Superbike after 6. And the last time they won, that was 2011.
Yeah, they've already won the Superbike, mate.
They haven't won it.
Yeah, they have. What's his name won it?
They haven't.
What's his name? They have.
Thanos, they did a week before. They did a week before the
MotoGP. Sorry, MotoGP. They did.
I'm talking Superbike, not MotoGP. That's two different categories.
they did the Superbike Championship a week before the MotoGP. I think they won that.
They won no, they haven't won it yet. Bautista can win it tonight. They're racing in Mandaluca, so he can win the championship tonight. But the point is, Ferrari.
I think they won the constructors. Then they won one of the two before that. I think.
I don't know. But either way, but at the end of the day, Ferrari is the only joke team that comes out of Italy in motorsports. Ducati has basically showed them this is how you go or win championships. They're an embarrassment, and this is the team that gets $100 million off the top before anybody else. See, they're getting $100 million legacy bonus, right?
Do you know that this is the first year that they are using their new the state-of-the-art simulator this year for their cross-referencing? So they have the best simulator in the business right now.
No, they could. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care what you give Ferrari.
They have so far in terms of the investment they've done in their facilities, especially on the simulation and the wind tunnel side, they're really far ahead.
Let me tell you this. I think if you give Ferrari an unlimited budget and everybody else to operate under the budget cap, Ferrari would still fuck up and not win a championship. That's how confident I am that this team is not
with an unlimited team. Budget.
No, that's what I'm saying.
With an unlimited budget,
they had an unlimited budget and they didn't win any championship. So if you give them an unlimited budget and give Mercedes and everybody else to operate in the same cost cap, Mercedes and Red Bull will still beat Ferrari. They're not. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke.
I agree with you. That's 100%. Based on today, I mean, all season we've seen it, but based on quality, I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
We've gone backwards.
I think it was a joke when I think even you remember Silverstone when they were asking for Sainz to slow down and not attack ahead, and then consolidate the points behind. I think it was a joke when they were doing that, and they have made so many questionable decisions in terms of how far they're going.
Look, Varun, we've seen this. We've seen the start at the start of the season. They were almost 3/4 of a second faster than Mercedes. That gap has literally been wiped out from Spa until.
They were 7/10 ahead easily. Like they were after the safety car in Bahrain. Not the safety car. I think the pit stop. They were just pulling ahead and like anything. Like there was not even a fair competition. Like they were so far ahead.
No, it's an absolute joke, and they basically made the season so easy for Max, and that pisses me. But again, it's Ferrari. All right, hold on. Lauren, what's up? Hope you remember your point. Lauren, go on.
I just feel like at this point, like Charles needs to escape. I feel like we're watching some dude imprisoned, and we need to go break him out of jail.
Yeah, but that's a voluntary prison he put himself in.
Yeah, but it's like, listen, we've watched all year, like Ferrari and Charles just scramble it. How are you scrambling it? I mean, I know Mercedes scrambled it, but like, how are you not scrambling it for him in quali? I actually kind of feel bad for him. Like, I feel sorry for him at this point.
The worst thing is no, honestly, Thanos, the worst thing is then when I saw Leclerc going out or inters, I actually screamed that it's so dark that if it rains right now and he gets the first interlap, it could have been the thing. So it was really marginal for them in terms of what they were doing.
Oh, who cares about Ferrari, man?
Yeah, but come on.
Who cares about Ferrari?
But with that long ass contract, you would hope that they would do something for him. This is looking like Seb all over again.
Worse than Seb.
Worse than Seb.
Because at least Seb.
You remember the Bahrain race when it ended, and there were a lot of Seb fans who came out and said, "This is the Ferrari that Seb deserved."
I remember. Yes. I remember how they were bragging in 2018, 17, 18, and 19 above.
After the first race when they killed Red Bull in their first race, they were like, "This is the Ferrari that Seb deserved." And I'm like, just hold on.
Varun, Seb fans said that same thing in 2017, 18, and 19. They said the same thing. Seb has finally gotten the Ferrari that he has always wanted. So now watch him go and win championship, and then what happened? they implode.
I think for 17 was a bigger fuck up because 17 they actually perfected a design that everybody was going to copy and gave them huge advantage in terms of the side pods. 17 was a bigger fuck up because everyone had normal side pods and they had those high inlet side pods which were really but cutting edge, state of the art in terms of what they were going to do.
18, it wasn't just a team that fucked up. Seb fucked up as well because we can't forget what happened in Singapore. You know what I mean? So I mean, it was a joint. It was a joint effort.
Singapore was a classic fuck up one. Singapore was a race. I went into that qualifying depressed. I was like, there's no way in wet. Like the car doesn't work. The car's not fast. He's on pole. He's on the front row, and even if he loses the one position, he'll just finish P2, and we'll lose a lot of points. We're already behind in Singapore, right? We're like 3 points behind, and we came 22 points ahead.
Yeah. So it was a joint effort in 2017. But I mean, Ferrari on a whole, it's a bit. It's I don't know. It's embarrassing. It's and I can't see how people look at this and think this is acceptable from Ferrari. It's embarrassing because
haven't they given themselves till 2026 to win? So maybe by then they'll scrape it together.
But Lauren, remember they said they sacrificed the last 2 seasons for this season. So now they've moved the goalpost to 2026 when we're going to get a new power unit. Come on.
Oh yeah. They said 20. Like I'm not sure if that's verified or not, but there was a lot of tweets that said they made a statement about the focus on 2026, and so I'm thinking like the Charles would have just been if I was Charles, I'd be screaming out like, what the fuck is wrong with you people, dude?
But this look, if I when I would have started to scream if I was Charles, when Binotto came out and said, our goal this year was to be competitive, and we've achieved that. Like, what? So you you just wanted to see us competitive, and you're happy with that. So what about, okay, we're competitive. Let's try and actually win the goddamn championships. But they just, I don't know. It's like, it's the analogy I use. Ferrari's like it's a horse race. Ferrari's only built to run a 6 furlong race, when in fact Formula One is basically the Grand National. It's 4 miles, 10. It's a 10-mile race or something like that. So that's so.
No, this is also a reason why I think Ferrari will do better in the endurance hypercar series, because there's like 6 races a year they can focus finally instead of 24 races.
Yeah,
so don't
be surprised to see this. They do the same. It's a cultural thing.
Toyota's gonna beat them next year. Like 100%, Toyota's gonna beat them next.
It's a cultural thing. They're gonna go into the WEC series and do the exact same thing. It's just Ferrari. It's unacceptable for a team with their resources and their history. 2008, they won a championship. And the only reason why they won that championship was because McLaren didn't have a competent number 2 driver to support Lewis. Because if they had someone better than Heike with them, they would have won the constructors in 2008. And they probably would have won it in 2007 as well, had, that Nazi Max Mosley not had his beef with Ron Dennis.
Hold on, didn't they win in 2000? Hold on, Kimi won in 2007.
They won the constructors in 2007 and 2008.
No, they won the drivers' championship in 2000.
Yes, and they won the constructors in 2007 and 2008. 2008 constructors is the last championship they've won, and it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
And
that's true.
But
hold on 1 second. Can I get my flowers?
What flowers? For what?
Can I get my flowers, please? I told you that Schumacher's going to lose his seat. He's going to lose it to what's his name? They're going to announce. Listen. They're going to.
Has it been announced?
They're going to announce it soon, innit?
How am I supposed to give you flowers when nothing's?
All right, listen. When they announce it, I want my flowers. You and V, yeah, I want my flowers.
To be honest, I have some dead flowers in a vase right now. I'm looking at.
Listen. Remember, I told you when Latifi was going to lose his seat. I also told you that Schumacher's going to lose his seat.
Seriously, Anthony, you want praise for saying Latifi was going to lose his seat.
No, for Schumacher.
You want praise
Listen, Schumacher as well, bro. I said to you that Schumacher's going to lose his seat. He's going to lose.
Anthony,
he's going to lose.
Respect.
I can't lie. Can I just say, I thought his surname was going to work a little harder for him. Like, I'm surprised he's even in this situation.
You know what?
No, the loser in all this is Ricciardo, actually. He should have accepted the Haas seat. Such a fool.
But why would you?
Did they offer
embarrass him? Why would
you? He should have accepted it.
Why?
Where is he going to go?
So you want?
He's going to
Thanos, just a second.
He's the loser in all this.
No, he's going to be Mercedes. He may be Mercedes.
He's not going to be a Mercedes third driver.
No, that's what
he's not going to be a Mercedes third. He's not going to get that position. What are they going to have him do? What's the purpose of him?
Testing the car, testing, innit?
Well, I mean, they have
testing what?
They have vesting.
That doesn't sound like a good idea.
They have vesting.
What do you mean?
Hold on. See, you want the guy.
The man said he don't like to do the technical work. I wouldn't want him touching my car.
The same dude who says he's not into data.
Himself. He ain't gonna work good for me.
The same dude who
given that.
Come on.
No, Thanos. To be fair to Daniel Wood and whatever,
I
think when a job. No, just a second. When a job is done by F2 drivers and Formula E drivers, I think he's capable enough to actually drive a simulator. And because either way, the data is derived not by him, but by the engineers who work.
But he's giving feedback, and if his feedback is shit, then the data the guys are getting back are basically shit. Because he's gonna tell them He's gonna tell them crap.
No, but I don't like. The teams have F2 drivers
we have Anthony
simulator drivers such as like.
We don't want him. We don't want him. Throw him to the scrap heap.
No, I know you don't, but I don't think that's the point. Like, even if Red Bull get him, I think that's a very basic thing that.
No, send him to the scrap heap. Send him go and race. Tin top. Send him.
Not sure whose mic is on. I'm getting feedback from somebody's mic.
I don't know. My mic is on. Okay, everybody else's mic is mute. Look, send him to Australia to go and race V8 supercars. He's done. The guy's.
Or go to America, innit?
I don't care where you send him. Send him somewhere, just not Formula One. He's done. He's a washed up. He's literally washed up. He's just.
Man. His good season was with Red Bull. If they gave him a competitive car, let's keep it a buck. Let's keep it up. Hold on, fellas. Let's keep it a buck. When he was with Red Bull, if they gave him a competitive car instead of him brocking down all the time, he would have gave Max Verstappen a run for his money in the Red Bull.
Max 2 seasons, but my point is, operative word in my statement is washed. He's done. He's done. There's nothing Ricciardo can do anymore. He's not going to win you anything. He's done.
Yeah, like Fernando Alonso, innit? But he can still get him back.
Right. But Alonso's not going to
I
win
don't
anything
think you
either.
can compare Alonso to what? Because I do think Alonso's performing better than friggin' Ricciardo, and that's the problem.
Ricciardo's
and you can say like Alonso's 40 plus, so Daniel really has just fallen off a cliff.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, Lauren,
he hasn't just been bad 1 year. He's been bad 3 or 4 years on the trot.
But Lauren, look at Fernando. He went over to America, did his thing, and he came back. And obviously, well, he went over there drive. He didn't do well over in America.
The only thing he did in America, he raced India, and that was it, and he never won. Didn't even make
I know, but what I'm saying to you, he could go over there, try to rediscover his form, and come back in it. You never know.
IndyCar isn't Formula One.
Yeah, I know. Look at Grosjean. Grosjean's doing good over in IndyCar, and let's be honest,
and the thing is,
even though he was a good driver over here.
But where's he going to come back?
Whoa, Grosjean was not a good driver.
No.
Where's he going to come back to?
Because stop that. He was a good driver. Grosjean was a good driver for us. He was. His form started to dip.
The only good season Grosjean had in Formula One was 2000 and was it 13? Was it 13?
Yeah, when Haas first broke onto the scene.
No. You see,
when he was with Lotus, you're right.
When there was
that's
with him and Kimi at Lotus, that was his only good season in Formula One.
Yes, that's it.
That was it. Grosjean.
A lot of people don't remember that. Exactly. See, that's the difference. That's the only good season he had.
That was his only good season the entire. Because remember, Grosjean actually, when Grosjean first came into Formula One, he had actually won GP. Did he win GP2? I think he won. Did he win GP2? I can't remember. No, he didn't win GP2, but he got promoted. And then they demote and they sent him back to GP2, and he won GP2, and then came back up again and drove for Renault. Was it 2011 he came back up, or did he win it in 2011? Win GP2 in 2011 and got promoted again. So he's the only guy that's ever been demoted, went from GP2 to F1, then got demoted back to GP2 and then come back to F1. So he has gotten what? 3 bites of the cherry. Grosjean is not that. No, he's not that great. And Ricciardo's done. The guy is done. And even if he does go to, say he goes to American races in the car, and he comes back, where's he going to go? Because, again, he's just going to come back and just drive around in the midfield. I mean, really and truly.
There's too much talent out there.
And it's not even just about the talent. It's just like, where is he going to go? Look at this. He's going to be old, and teams are going to be more gravitating towards younger drivers. And if he comes back, the only way he's going to go is one of those back market teams. And do you really want to come back to Formula One to just be driving in back market teams? Because unless you want to do what Alonso, you just want to be on the grid for being on the grid sake. Because no matter how Alonso try and convince himself, he's never going to win another championship. Fuck it. Shit. Excuse my language. You know my favorite saying. I have a better chance of marrying Serena Williams than Alonso has of winning the championship. And Serena is married.
I get that. Like I said, it's a shame that it hasn't worked out for Ricciardo since he left.
But why did it not work out? Because at the end of the day, granted he saw what was going on at Red Bull, right? But I think he could have stayed and fought his corner a bit harder. He basically just jumped ship because
when you've got a parasite like Christian Horner at the helm and like Max is your number one driver. Put it this way. Max is to Christian Horner what Seb was to Christian Horner back in the day. That's how it is. That's how what Max is to Christian Horner now, the golden child, that's how Seb was back in the day to Horner. His golden child, innit? And you could see the situation with him and Webber.
Yeah, but
and you can see the situation. But you can see the situation with him and.
But hold on. But the difference with that, the Webber Vettel partnership to Max and Ricciardo is that Ricciardo is actually competitive. He could actually beat Max. You didn't look at Webber and think Webber can actually beat Vettel.
He could. He had opportunities.
In fairness, Webber should have won. Webber should have won the 2010 title. But then again, I think he should. I think every time Webber sees Nico Rosberg, he should slap him, because that's the reason why Webber didn't win the 2010 championship, because of the accident that Nico dropping it in Korea, which basically I think and then Webber hit him. I think Webber crashed into him. I can't remember. Yeah, I think Webber crashed into Rosberg after Rosberg crashed in the race in Korea, and that's what cost him the championship in 2010, because he was actually leading the championship at that point in the season.
Well, there's races that he could have won, and what was the incident that happened when he was supposed to follow orders?
That was Malaysia. 2011.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So he's had opportunities to win races.
But winning races is a different thing to winning championships. They all have opportunity to win races. But can you win a championship? And Ricciardo probably should have stayed and fought his corner harder than he did. He basically just walked away and just like handed the keys to Max.
I wouldn't say handed the keys to Max.
But what did he do?
I would say that if you know that it's not going to be an equal between the two drivers, and you know that the team are favouring one driver more than the other. It's like,
saying, but he could have actually fought his corner. I mean, if he went in, if he performed, and if he was able to perform a match Max on a consistent basis and even beat him on a fairly level playing field, then there's no way Red Bull could overlook him and say, well, okay, we're still going to give Max the more support than you.
I'm
not too sure.
With the way his career has turned out, it might have been better that he stayed and fought within the team.
Exactly.
it's this.
No,
This
but
hasn't gone. I'm sure to
do
plan
you
it.
do you guys not see that there is no way that anyone's fighting within that team? Do you guys do we not see the same races? Because a lot of Max fans have a defense for the 2016 and 17 that he had a lot of DNFs, and a lot of them were technical issues into the car. But at the same time, they don't acknowledge that there were similar technical issues to Daniel's car in 2018. I don't think that is a miracle that as soon as Daniel said that I'm leaving for Renault, his car started breaking down. Do you? I know everyone's not up for conspiracy theories, but do you not see how that team is?
That was just that was messed up.
It was 20.
It was messed up. No, it was messed up. As soon as he, like Bruce said, as soon as he wanted to say he's going, Daniel's Ricciardo car every minute incident with his car or mechanical issue. I'm just like, they're taking the piss. Now, if you look at, we all know that Checo's, he ain't that good. Yeah, let's keep it a buck. However, let's keep it a buck. He ain't that good. However, as a driver, you want to be competitive and you want to have equal opportunity. You don't have that with Red Bull. It's number one driver. That's just happening.
Perez, but even if you give Perez number one status, equal status with Max, he's gonna get beaten anyway because Perez is a bomb, dude.
Yeah, I know that, and that is what I'm saying is that we can all know that yes, Perez is not the most, sought out driver, but if you look at it, it's like everything is gearing towards Max in regards to when they had a new on the floor, they gave it to Max first before they gave it to Checo. When Checo won his race, did you listen to what Christian Horner said to him over the radio? Man wasn't even excited that the man won. It's just like, you're taking a fucking piss, mate. I'm sorry, but I've just won a race and you can't even be happy that I won the race. I'm just thinking that is what I'm saying. In regards to Red Bull, Max is number one. Whoever's going to be there is number two. So when you look back at the situation with Ricciardo, it was smart for him. It was smart for him to move.
No,
because it's just like everything was just like Max.
No, because at the time before he announced the move, he was actually beating Max. His season actually got worse.
He had two wins in 2018 when he announced his retirement. He's announced that he's going to Renault. He was actually beating Max by a long shot. He beat Max 2016, he beat Max 2017, and he beat them unless he said that I'm going to Renault.
And that's what killed the season. So I don't think it's to say, compare it. No, he could have stayed and actually fought his.
No, he could have stayed, but to be honest, when he was asking for a similar.
Can I say something, Thanos? I think like eventually Max was gonna pass him like on track. This is a former Daniel Ricciardo fan at Renault. Former Daniel Ricciardo. Well, he was a menace. Like when he was with Sebastian Vettel, he was a different person. But I think like after the win in 2016 after Max, he knew like all the odds were against him. I don't think he even if he lost like against Kvyat, you know how Danny lost against Kvyat that other season, and he had DNFs and stuff like that. But eventually, I think the speed against Max, he wasn't going to compete. I don't think he was going to compete with Max. And
why not? Because he was competing fairly well up until he decided he wasn't going to stay.
Max was impatient. He was crashing, but he was a good driver. Like risk and everything. Otherwise, he was a good driver.
But what if Max was crashing, impatient, and all of that? Imagine how much more impatient he would have become if Ricciardo was beating him, continue to beat him.
Well, I thought like eventually he was gonna grow up and stuff. So So I didn't think Daniel had a chance. Like I was like pro his move to Renault, but after Renault, it's like Dan went nowhere.
I think he did by leaving, he made it easier for Max. made the situation far easier for Max because now anybody that Red Bull brought
but Thanos, honestly, if Daniel was in that team and they gave similar treatment to Daniel, that the way that they gave to Perez, and like say, we don't have a floor for you right now, we don't have this wing, take your wing off.
I don't think it would have got.
But you guys,
I feel like you. I don't think
do you
it would have gone in
remember
that
the race
direction.
in Spain?
Just a second. So I'm saying that
Varun, do you remember the race in Spain? Like even like Dan tried 2016. He was not allowed to try.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to make a headline because the Red Bull goal.
I felt like ever since Max showed his skill,
if you want to watch what annoys Red Bull, watch the 2018 Mexican qualifying. Red Bull were desperate to make a headline of the youngest pole sitter, and they were not able to do that, and that fucked them up. That fucked up Marco so bad that he was screaming in the media that Daniel will lose the position tomorrow. He actually said that after the qualifying that his driver was standing on pole. He had a 1-2 and he was saying that driver on the pole will lose the position tomorrow. That's how fucked up that team was at that time. How do you compete with a team where the team wants to root against you?
Exactly, like that's what I think. Like
even if you stay, even if he stayed within Red Bull and he was given the similar Perez treatment, we don't have a wing for you, there's no flow for you right now, use these parts and that part. What do you think the driver can do? He cannot drive around the car and be faster than what the car can allow him to be.
Exactly. That's
okay. So let me ask the question.
He was still going
to be. The situation that he's in now is better. He has no seat, and he might be a third driver for a team. That's better than maybe fighting for rights in your team, because at least he was driving for a team that was one of the top three.
Yeah, they were one of the top three.
What rights can you find?
Difficult,
but you have to look at
I don't think he would have got the Albon treatment. I don't think he would have got the Gasly or the Perez treatment. I felt like he would have had a little bit more leverage. He may have had to fight, but he would have been able to get it.
Somebody needs to mute.
Okay, yeah, carry on, Lauren. Go on, Lauren.
I felt like he would have had a little more leverage. Yeah, I'm not saying it would have been easy. We saw the crap. But I feel like he would have had a little bit more than Perez does. But now,
definitely, I think he's a better driver than Perez.
That can't be better.
He could have been closer, I think, yes. But when a team definitely has that kind of attitude in terms of they were angry at him for beating Max as he was on his way out, and they were angry at him that he actually took away a record that they could have shouted out in public. Then you have to consider that he made the right call in terms of moving out of that environment. My point is that there were two issues that he probably there are two places where he probably fucked up is while he was leaving Renault for McLaren. Probably Renault could have been a better deal in terms of, because they actually did win a race in 21 and he could have been there winning another race, or probably this 22 car would have worked out differently. I think at that point of time, being with the factory team could have been a little more, beneficial for Daniel, and not staying with Red Bull in that case.
Yeah, I think he would have, if he was stayed at Renault, I think things would have been better for him if he stayed at Renault instead of going to McLaren. Because let's be honest, McLaren,
he should have never gone to Renault in the first place.
Yeah, I know, but put it this way.
It's better than McLaren.
But hold on, like Varun was saying, if they're doing all that in regards to you as a driver, how is that going to make you feel? You can't turn and tell man, well, F you or this, that, and the other. You have to look at a certain situation to say, if this is how they're treating me, what is going to happen if I stay? If I'm competitive, if I'm beating your supposedly golden child going forward, and this is what I'm... Hold on 1 second. And this is what I'm receiving. Obviously, it's going to make you think to yourself, do they really want me? Do they really want me in this team? You have to look at it that way to say, look, I'm doing all this so that I can be competitive. But if your other driver is telling you that you ain't going to win pole or this, that, and the other, it's just like, what are you supposed to do, man?
Ricciardo didn't leave. Ricciardo didn't leave because he wanted a better opportunity. He left for the money.
We don't know. We don't know this. You can't turn and say that's just an assumption. That's an assumption.
He got more money to go to
That's
Renault.
an assumption.
Can
bro.
I say
You can't turn and say that it's
Renault.
man. You can't turn and say that, bro. That it's a money.
Okay, cool.
You can't turn and say that, bro.
Can I say something?
All right, go on.
You remember when he came, like the guys like at Sky Sports will be saying like he's doing to like when Vettel, when Max was doing to him what he did to Sebastian Vettel, they thought Ricciardo was going to be the new Red Bull thing, and then Max came along. I really think like Ricciardo like saw competition from Max. I don't think he would have fared well. Like
but hold on. But when Max came in,
Thanos, there are some if you want to go around that.
Yeah.
Hold on.
I didn't think he went to Renault because of the money. I think he could see, like, even if he was losing, he could see that the competition towards Max was aggressive. He was younger. He was given more priority, like more, what do you call it? Like he was given more agency by Red Bull because he's the youngest, everything. And he was more aggressive.
Okay, but on it, just to counteract your point, you said about when he came into the team and what he did to Vettel, right?
Yeah.
But when Max came into the team, Ricciardo performance didn't fall off.
Yeah.
He maintained his level of performance and he was beating Max. It's not like Max came into the team and he just fell off.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, his performance was still consistent. He was still there. He was still out qualifying him. He was out pointing him. He was winning races, podiums. He was ahead of him, right?
Yeah.
When did he leave? 2018. We saw what Renault brought to the track in 2014 up until 2017.
Yeah.
You're telling me it was the money why he left. Because it cannot be anything else, because Renault has not shown at any point in time since they've come back to Formula One that they could win it. I think
it was the favoritism, because these guys were showing more favoritism to Max because Max was younger.
But they were showing him. But on it, they were showing Max this favoritism.
Remember 2018 China Grand Prix. Like
okay, hold on. Let me finish.
Yeah.
They were showing Max all of this favoritism, but Ricciardo was still beating him.
Yes.
So Ricciardo was still beating him despite Max getting all of this favoritism.
Exactly.
So you're telling me now, Ricciardo sat down and he looked and said, okay, what if my intention is I want to try and win a championship. I've won this many races racing for Red Bull. What has Renault won or done since the start of that hybrid era? And he looked at Renault and thought Renault was a better option than staying at Red Bull. It's not like he was being forced out the team by Red Bull having another driver that they want to put in his seat. His seat was his to look. It was his decision to stay or go. He chose to leave, and I'm convinced it was the money that he went for. Because since in the last 4 years, he has pocketed over 100 million in salary.
No, Thanos, I think from that point of view, when his 2018, when he was discussing his contract, money was one of the factors. But what he asked for it at Red Bull was an equal treatment in terms of if there is an option for him and Max to go for the championship at the same time. He asked Red Bull that if they were going to give them equal chances to go and to battle out on the track. Red Bull at that time, and that's there's a whole lot of allegation because nobody knows what went behind the rooms, but he said a couple of things in their discussion that with his contract discussion, he felt that Red Bull were definitely going to favor Max in terms of their future decisions, and they've already made up their mind. When he was talking about that in terms of the position in the team, money was one of the factors that he was being paid far less, and he wanted an equal treatment. Red Bull said that we'll give you the money, but if there is a time that both of you are going for the championship, we'll favor Max, and that's what broke it for him.
Pretty much, really.
You can't.
No. Yeah, you can see. I mean, you don't.
But you're telling, even in that situation, you choose to
go to Renault. Thanos, because you're going to be the number one driver.
No, but you want to win.
Let me tell you, okay, like honestly, it's like
no, hold on. Do you want to win?
No, Thanos. It's like how Mercedes.
Answer the question.
Yes. Because you always
was his aim to win.
Yes, because you always want to be.
Aim is to win. You don't leave Red Bull to go to
Okay, Thanos. You've had what
teams available for him to go to.
You've had what Red Bull has said. Yeah, you've had what Red Bull has said. For example, that. Let me just have my moment. You had them say they've been shopping for Lando Norris since 2017. What does that tell you? That tells you that they were already playing the long game and looking at Max as their guy and looking for another young, quick guy. So if I'm Ricciardo, I would want to go to a place where I'm treated as number one. I mean, look at Norris. He knows right now he's at McLaren and it's performing the way it is, but he still doesn't want to come and be number two to Max. So I don't really think he made a necessarily dumb move at that point. You make a move and think, okay.
If you're saying,
where exactly would he
yes,
Red Bull
Mercedes, okay, but
the long game.
Yes, but look at Mercedes' long game. Mercedes' long game was bringing in Lewis. They had Nico, but they knew Nico couldn't win them. Lewis could win them. You understand? So that's Max was their Lewis. Max was Red Bull's Lewis. And the only reason Ricciardo could beat him was because he was new in the game.
What do you mean? Hold on. You said
Daniel, you're not making Daniel's move sound good at all.
No, Daniel could not. Daniel was never going to be number one against Max.
Mo, you just said okay, Mercedes' long game was bringing in Lewis.
Yes.
But given the car that Mercedes produced in 2014, Rosberg would have won the championship if Lewis wasn't there.
If Lewis wasn't there, Lewis's replay, they were talking about getting Nico Hülkenberg in terms of that race seat. If that was the case, then in 2014, definitely Rosberg would have walked that championship out.
Anybody else in that seat other than Lewis in 2014, Rosberg won the championship.
Yes, but were they looking at 1 year? It's like with Max. They let him crash for 7 years. They were looking at longer than that.
I can't see how you guys are trying to make it out that Ricciardo's move from Red Bull to Renault to now being at McLaren to now basically being based. He basically got fired.
Got fired.
So you'd rather he stay at Red Bull and do what?
Sorry.
The same nonsense that has been happening to everybody else.
He would have a drive.
No.
Hold on,
he would have a drive.
Sorry, 1 second.
Okay, for me, really, it wasn't even about Ricciardo. This is a can of worms, but
if he goes, if he goes anywhere, staying at Red Bull gives him a better opportunity to succeed than going to Renault, because Renault has not showed. I don't know how can anyone sit down and look at their options and think, oh, I'll go to Renault because Renault will give me an opportunity to win. Renault.
You look at options to be the number one driver and an opportunity to progress forward.
Options to be number.
Okay, why did he go to McLaren?
And he looked at Renault.
And what is Norris? What is Norris doing at McLaren? Because if you're saying his decision is too dumb, what is Norris doing at McLaren? Because he can go to Red Bull and sit in this rocket ship and probably crash out 2 years.
That's a different.
It's exactly what Ricciardo has done. He has said, I don't want to be a number two to Max. let me go and look for a place where I have an opportunity.
But he wasn't a number
He
two.
He didn't want to be a number two to Max, so he went to be a number two to Lando. That's bloody worse.
But he
he went to Renault first.
He was never number two to Max.
I want to say I agree. I want to say I agree with Thanos, because Ricciardo's move to Renault was horrible.
It was money.
It was money. It was because at the time of money.
It was money.
At the time of his move,
he wanted to be a number one driver. You know, like ever since 2016 started.
But wait.
2016 Spain. After 2016 Spain, after Max won,
the time of Ricciardo's move, right, to Renault. Renault was still Red Bull's engine supplier, and they were doing so poor. What would convince me to move to a team?
Why? That is like asking the question, why doesn't Lando take up the Red Bull seat? Why doesn't he take it up? They clearly have an interest in him. Let him move to Red Bull. Let him move to Red Bull. Anyway, I called to talk about James, not even that Ricciardo.
Hold on 1 second. I'll say this here. Like Vims was saying, if you know that they are not rooting for that team, yeah, why would you want to stay there knowing that, okay, yes, on one hand, you'll be competitive. We all understand that. However, a driver has to make a decision in his life to say, okay, I want to be somewhere that I'm going to be the number one driver. It's like Lewis went from Mercedes, from McLaren Mercedes, yeah, to Mercedes.
Yeah.
In terms of that move. So Lewis made a conscious decision that
but he went
hold on 1 second.
Lewis went to a team that actually won race.
Yes, I know, but 2011 and 2012. But what I'm saying to you, what other seats were there available when Ricciardo decided to go to Renault? You tell me that. What other seats was available?
There was none.
But Ricciardo,
all right. So hold on, creative. 1 second.
He was supposed to stay
hold on. Let me finish. Hold on, let me finish. Let me finish. Yeah. For argument's sake, here, if I'm your manager, yeah, and I'm trying to force you out of your job, that's what basically. Hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second. Let me finish, man. Ciao.
But I'm asking you a question. You said who was forcing him out of his job?
Listen, the way how they were treating him, it was just like he had no choice. Didn't you listen to it? Didn't you? Hold on.
I'm not going to hold on because he was literally leading Max in the championship in 2018.
Yes, I know, but I'm talking about his final season when he was there.
He was leading Max in the championship before he announced that he was leaving. Before it was announced. Dude, he was leading Max in the championship before he made the announcement that he was going to switch to Renault. What are you talking about?
What happened after that?
Then after that, that's when he started to have the whole heap of
that's when it fell off.
What the hell are you talking about?
He left, and no one knew he was going to Renault.
To leave. It was the money why he left. It was the money why he left. It was. Come on, dude.
I don't think. Listen.
Be sensible. No.
Of course, no. Listen.
No. Hold on. Hear me out.
A minute.
You saying
just a minute.
Hold on. You saying leaving to be a number one in another team. Cool. Yes. You're going to be a number one in another team that basically not going to give you the equipment to win anything. That's where you're going to be happy with that.
Listen, hold on 1 second. Wait. Hold on 1 second. There's certain times here a driver. Listen, hold on 1 second, creative. Yeah. There's certain times here a driver will move for his sanity to say, they may not be successful now. But hold on 1 second. Let me finish, man. Let me finish before you jump down my throat. Yes, there may be some decisions that a driver will say, okay, I want to be a number one driver for a team. It may not work in his favor. Obviously, with Ricciardo, it didn't work. When he was at Renault, yes, he was the number one driver, but Renault wasn't competitive. That's why they changed to Alpine. Renault had a certain time for them to be competitive. And because they wasn't, that's why they switched to Alpine.
No.
Yeah. No, Thanos, listen, hold on. Listen, Thanos, 1 second, brother.
What the hell are you talking about the switch to Alpine? It's a name change. It's the same
yes,
team.
I know.
It's
and
still Renault.
Listen to me. Listen, man. Yeah, listen. Yeah. They rebranded to Alpine. Yes, Alpine or Renault. There was a time frame. I will get the video. I've been watching, like I said, these videos. Hold on, listen, 1 second, man. Charles, let me just speak, and then you can talk. I was watching a video, and they said that there was a certain time frame regarding Renault. Because Renault wasn't competitive when they were supposed to be, they rebranded for Alpine. Even though yes, they're using Renault. Bro, listen, I will get the video and I'll show it to you.
I don't need to see the
video.
No,
because listen.
No, you're talking about rebranding.
Yeah,
it's still the same team. It's still Renault. It's just changed from Renault to Alpine.
Yes, I
know. Like how it went from Renault to Lotus.
Yes,
and then from Lotus to Renault, and then from Renault to Alpine. It's just a name change, but it's the exact same thing. Not team, nothing. You're talking about Renault said in 2014 when they went to the hybrid power units. Renault said that they should be competitive within 3 years.
Exactly.
They should be winning championships within 3 years.
They rebranded from Renault to Alpine.
Keep talking about the rebranding. That's irrelevant. That does nothing. It doesn't change anything. All they did was a name change on a piece of paper.
Look,
it's still the same team. They weren't. My turn. So they weren't. So change whether it was still Renault or Alpine. It doesn't change anything. It wasn't a competitive team. He sat down and he went to a team that for the past 3 years has shown that they had no chance. They didn't give you any hint to say, okay, we're on an upward trend where we're going to be competitive to the likes of Ferrari, Red Bull, and Mercedes.
Yeah, I get that.
Dude, they were getting beat by Williams.
Yeah, I understand that. And I understand that. And like I said to you, the driver, listen, at the end of the day, a driver has to sometimes take a gamble and say, I want to be a number one driver. That's what Ricciardo did.
Okay, well, and you can
but
Renault.
The thing is, right? Wait.
Okay, can I say something?
Wait,
let me finish my piece. The argument saying about going somewhere and being a number one driver, that's bullshit, because you can be a number one driver anywhere. Your point, what your aim is, you want to win. So you can go be the number one driver at Haas. You're not gonna win shit, but you're gonna be like, okay, well, at least I'm the number one driver. Okay, cool, but you're not winning shit. Do you want to win, or do you want to sit at the back of the grid and say, oh, hey, look at me, I'm a number one driver, but I'm at the back of the grid?
What did I say to you? I said to you, he took a gamble and it didn't work. He took a gamble because he knew that he would
it was a stupid gamble. It was a stupid gamble because the evidence.
Let me just say something.
The evidence was there to point to him, to tell him that your gamble was never going to pay off.
Well, that's what I said. In life, every driver takes a gamble, innit? He
went for the money.
Listen, Anthony.
Go on.
Anthony, yeah. I just want to ask you one question.
Go on.
From your perspective, like in your opinion, around 2018, 2019, when Danny Ric went to Renault, in your opinion, do you think, or did you see Renault being competitive anytime?
No, I didn't. But I could understand.
Okay, so
I can understand why he left Red Bull.
You can't.
Why? Look, okay, here we have two options.
How are you telling me that I can't see?
How can you say you can understand why he left Red Bull? When he wasn't forced out of Red Bull. He left Red Bull whilst he was competitive. He was leading his teammates in the championship.
Yeah, the thing is, right, so Danny Ric left Red Bull at a time where you're arguing for number one driver spot. He was the number one driver. He had the seniority. It was all for him. It's just Max was competitive enough to fight for it. And he didn't like fighting, so he just wanted it a bit easier. That's the thing. So he was like, it was a surprise for everybody. It was supposed to be them as a dream team. Just how Max and Checo now are perfect. That's how it was.
They're not perfect.
Bro, Max and Checo are perfect for each other.
No, they're not perfect. They're not.
I would say
the one two in the championship, or they're not.
Yeah, listen,
dude. How are they not? Like,
they're not.
The one two in the championship.
They're not perfect.
They won 2 in the championship.
Okay. Yeah. Now listen. Hold on. All right. Let's keep it a buck. If they're gonna be perfect for the championship. Let us see next season.
We're not talking about next season. We're talking about now. They're perfect because they want to win the championship.
Well, yeah, it's not
next season. Next season is next season.
No, wait. Let him talk because in terms of driver combos,
listen, in terms of seniority and that, everything goes to Max before it goes to Checo. If Checo had what Max had, I think it was the Belgian Grand Prix when they had the new underfloor on the car and whatever, he would have been able to take it to Max Verstappen to say, okay, boom, let me try and fight Max for the championship. I don't see that with Checo. I don't see Red Bull allowing Checo to fight Max for the championship. So you saying it's a partnership made in heaven. I don't see it that way because they won't allow Checo to be that competitive where he's actually fighting tooth and nail down to the wire in terms of them two drivers in the most superior car fighting for the championship.
Does Checo want to fight?
You say that? You say
because
that, and
Checo
I want to counter it with this, right?
Go on.
Because the same way you say that is the same way I would say Lewis and Valtteri was perfect for each other, and it's the same thing that happened, and Lewis came out with 7.
No, but you see, there's a difference. Lewis
there is no difference there. It's the same
Creative.
thing.
Lewis is a different breed. Yeah,
Dude,
he's a different breed of. Listen. Lewis is a different breed of animal. Yeah, listen, he's true.
But
he's a different breed. Lewis is a different breed of animal. Let's keep it about.
Anthony, the Lewis and Bottas partnership was perfect because it delivered them championship. When they had the outright superior car, Bottas finished P2 in the championship. The Bottas' worst season in Mercedes was 2018. Mm-hmm. Outside of that, he's finished P3, P6, P2, and P3. I think he finished P3 twice. I think it was. I can't remember. But the partnership worked. The Max and Checo partnership is perfect for Red Bull because it works, because it has delivered them both championship, and Perez is P2 in the championship. So how can you say it's not perfect?
I'm saying
you're looking at it from the perspective of Perez being able to challenge Max race weekend after race weekend. You know why that's not happening? Perez is just not that good. So even if you gave Perez the exact same car, if you swap cars and you put Max in Perez's car, Max is going to beat Perez. Let's be honest. Max is better than Perez.
Whilst I agree that Max is better than Perez, I don't think it's even an argument. I would like to see just once, Perez try something. I don't think we've ever seen him try.
Because
I just want to see him try one good time. Just
Zoran, as much as I dislike Max, Perez can't. It's just one time. No, I don't even know why people. I don't even understand why people get emotional about that. He really can't. This is somebody who is 10 kilometers supposed to have 10K over Lewis, and George can still beat him. Or, he cannot. I think we need to put that argument to rest. It's not a Bottas, it's not a Lewis Nico situation. It really isn't. It's more of a Lewis Bottas situation. It's like saying, Bottas would have beaten Lewis 10 times a season. No, come on. I don't even know why people banter over it or argue over it.
Look, here's the difference with Bottas and Perez, because on his day, Bottas can genuinely beat Lewis. You look at Perez and you don't think, but even on his best day, he can beat Max. That's pretty much it.
And I agree, but I think honestly, Checo is underrated, mainly because I always refer to that race in Checo's racing point in Bahrain, when he started, I think it was P14 or something, dropped to P20 and then came out and won.
Yeah, and but he benefited from what? Safety cars and Mercedes messing up the strategy and whatnot.
Regardless of that, to make that kind of that win, I think, is really underrated. And although it's the same way you could say, like you just said, someone just said, Bottas on a good day could beat Lewis, but it's the same way. I think Lewis is a different beast. Max is the same. Like when you watch this season and last season, these are two people that drive at a different level. Same with Sebastian Vettel in his prime. They're driving at a different level. But when it comes down to it, in terms of teammates, like Lewis and Valtteri, perfect. Max and Checo, I think, is good. Even now with the harsh drivers, Kevin and Schumacher, I think is good. And I don't think they should change that, honestly.
No, Mick Schumacher is a bomb, man. Mick Schumacher
yeah, like he shouldn't leave. And the next driver, I think that's crazy. Also, Valtteri and Zhou, perfect combination. Like they're going great. So it's really watching these things and knowing what is best for the team and not necessarily which driver is outshining which one. But from a team perspective, what works.
Yeah, Mick Schumacher is a bomb anyway. All right, we're moving on from Ricciardo because basically he got fired, so he's over the job. He got fired on his day off. I mean, how can you get fired on your day off? That's just horrible. Anyway, what else? What topic you want to? Because I heard Mo say she wants to talk about James because every week she has a problem with Mercedes. Go on. Oh, she dropped out. All right. What else you guys want to talk about? Pick a topic, any topic.
Who y'all think deserve
leaving?
Huh? Who y'all think deserve Haas seat?
Oh God.
I don't know. I don't look that far down the grid. I don't have a binoculars or a telescope to look that far down the grid. So I don't really know. I hear they keep talking about Hülkenberg, and I'm thinking, I still to this day cannot understand why every time there's a seat vacant, his name gets mentioned. I don't see the fascination or the draw towards him because again, every teammate he has had when he's in a car that's somewhat competitive, every one of his teammates have been able to get a podium except him.
I think like Latifi, he's a pay driver, but
no, I don't think he's a pay driver.
It's more in the sense of like he will get his seat because they just know it's safe. It's better than putting it in a rookie's hands, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, you already invest in Mick Schumacher. You might as well just keep him there.
Agreed, but we'll see for that.
Because I don't think if they give it to Hülkenberg, he's going to come in and do anything. It's gonna light up the place and do anything wonderful. You go, oh yeah, okay, they made the right decision. It's a joke. And I mean, he's been out of racing for the last 2 years. Why are you going back for him to do what?
There's my suspicion is Fittipaldi from F2 will end up in the seat, mainly for money reasons.
But look, here's where Haas probably missed the trick because they're talking about the US market. Why didn't they make a move for Logan Sargent earlier? Logan, American in an American car.
Sorry, I was like so Fittipaldi, but you said that, and we have to remember MoneyGram is now Haas's new title sponsor, so there is a possibility that he is their driver as well.
Who?
Logan Sargent.
But isn't Logan Sargent got the didn't he not just get the Williams seat?
It's real tricky. I don't know. It's
because I'm sure
did he? No, I don't think so.
So who got the Williams seat?
Who
got the Williams seat? Varun, who got the Williams seat? Isn't it Logan Sargent that said got the Williams seat? But he needs to get the super license. Some more points for his super license.
They were still waiting for super license, but I was unconfirmed. And I think it's like with the new title sponsors, MoneyGram, a US company, it just makes sense to take him as their driver. But it with Formula One, anything up.
They have 2 seasons finished. They have 2 seasons finished. They have 2 seasons finished, right?
Huh?
F2 season is finished.
Yeah, that's complete.
Okay, cool. All right, Mo, I see. Oh, wait, is she back in yet? Because I know she wants to go off on Mercedes. Oh, did she come back in? All right, Mo, you have the mic. Go on. Mo, you have the mic. Go on. Okay, I don't know what happened to her mic. Anyway, all right. Next topic. Pick a topic, people. If not, we're gonna just end the stream now, and we catch back up tomorrow. Hopefully, it's a better sprint race than qualifying. Anybody?
Who's winning the title next year?
Oh, Lewis.
My other my topic. Hello, did I cut somebody?
Yeah, go on.
No, my topic is rather controversial, but I'll take my stand. I think James Wolves is done. I think he's done.
What did he do wrong now?
No, like his strategy is just off. He's not aggressive enough. I really think he's done. He's just gonna bin them further. I just.
So, where is it? What? Okay, you say he hasn't been aggressive in strategies.
I think it is coming from the fact that he tried to save
ball. They've dropped the ball not once, not twice, endlessly.
Okay.
They dropped it last race. They dropped it last race.
How did they drop it last race? How?
Why would you go for the hards against the softs and mediums? Why would you? Why would you stop your drivers earlier than they would have run a longer stint? I mean, I think he's not aggressive. Mm-hmm. You look at what was that race? I mean, it even skips my mind. I think it's the US, not the US.
The US Grand Prix. Yeah, what about it? The race before Mexico
was it the US Grand Prix? No, the one where the race before Mexico where George had to make his own strategy for the soft. I mean, what are they doing? Honestly, we love Ferrari, but I think we're taking that road with Valls. I think he's done. He's made enough errors. It's enough.
But
either they need somebody else who can think of the whim. Pardon?
Yeah, but you said he's made mistakes in those two races. What were the mistakes?
The mistakes were taking them off the mediums before time. Then you give them a hard. Then you pit somebody again for a soft so they can come in for the fastest lap. Clearly, you knew that the soft was a better touch for them for that race. I mean, come on. We can't.
But okay. Let's analyze Mexico, because I think what they had no strategy they could play that would have won them the race.
Only good strategy.
There was nothing they could do with Mexico. There was no good strategy in Mexico that could have won them the race, because they didn't have any pace. And if you look at the lap times, right? Had they left Lewis out to go longer on the medium tires, he would have been passed by Max by the time he got to his stint length. If not passed by him, the gap would have been significantly smaller, and he would have pitted and come back out behind both Red Bulls. And then he's going to have to pass both Red Bulls to win the race. And the Mercedes is not quicker than the Red Bull, no matter which compound of tires you put them on. So the only way Mercedes can beat Red Bull, could have beaten Red Bull this year, is by going for an alternative strategy. Like for instance in Cota, where they went for a much longer stint on the hard tires. Because if they match Red Bull's strategy for strategy, they're not going to beat them because they don't have a faster car. So the only way you're going to beat a faster car is by trying to do something different to them. And you can only do that by if you do a one stop less. Case in point, if you look at Zandvoort, if at the time it was the VSC, if the VSC didn't come out at that time, Max had one more stop to make. So Lewis was going to do that race on one stop. And that was the only option they have. I don't get this idea saying they've dropped the ball and they've lost wins. There was no wins. There was no race out there that they could actually have won on pace alone. None. Because if they started Lewis on the soft tires in Mexico, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Because if they had started Lewis on the soft tires in Mexico, you're basically you're doing the exact same thing that the faster car is doing. So how are you going to beat them? And also how hard was Lewis pushing on that medium tires to keep within Max, keep to Max's pace, and don't forget, on that first stint, Max wasn't even going at at a pace that he's capable of going. He was preserving the tires, but still fast enough to keep a margin to Lewis. So if you had even put him on the soft tires, Max could have pushed that soft tires as hard as he possibly can and build himself a bigger gap. Then what do you do?
Then you put Lewis on the soft when Max is running out his mediums on the second stint. Because they have a very, very conservative. They have a very conservative strategy. Every race.
But if you put Lewis on the soft tires, Lewis pitted on lap 38.
Which he didn't need to in the first place. He would have pitted later.
But that's the point I'm trying to make. If he had pitted later, he would have come back up behind both Red Bulls, not just Max, because Perez behind him was actually quicker than he was. The reason why, Red Bull used Perez to force Mercedes' hand in pitting Lewis earlier. And the reason why that happened, because George got jumped, fell behind Perez. So they used Perez to attack Lewis, because if they had left Lewis out any longer than he did, Perez would have come into his pit window and Perez would have actually jumped him.
Yeah, but if the race was longer than it was, then Perez was going to jump Lewis. If it had gone on,
I don't get.
If it had gone on 5 more laps, he was going to jump him on that hard tire. It was a terrible call either way.
But you can't say if the race had gone on longer. The race is only 71 laps, so you can't go hypothetically if it had gone on to 76 laps. It's a 71 lap race, so that's beside the point. You have to look at what happened within the race, the number of laps the race ran. So if Lewis had stayed out any longer, if he had done what Ricciardo done and pushed those tires to say lap 45 or lap 50, he would have found himself probably already behind Max, right? He would have been behind Max, and basically Perez would have been well within his pit window. And then what happens? If he pits and goes for the soft, Red Bull can react to him, pit Max, puts him on the soft. Lewis still finds himself behind Max and also behind Perez. What does he do then? They have no other strategy. What they did at the start of the race by going on the mediums was the only card they had to play. They hope that the medium tires would have gone off and the harder tires would have come into. But what we fail to realize as well was track temperatures dropped 8 degrees compared to Saturday. And that drop in track temperature also aided the life of the medium tires and affected how the hard tires worked, because the hard tires would have worked better in a hotter temperatures.
Yeah, but they also admitted that they could change the strategy with George.
Yeah, but that's irrelevant.
They admitted that though, that they could have they could have let George go out longer on the
but George was slower than Perez.
Yeah, he may have been slower than Perez, but what they were saying is that when they saw the degradation of the tires, that's why they kept them both on the tires and then they went to the hard. But in hindsight, they're saying that they would have let George go on longer on the medium tires and then pitted for the softs. And
so basically, they would have finished 2-3 like they started 2-3
exactly.
instead of 2-4. I mean, does that really make any? Does that really make any difference?
But you saw Ricciardo, though. You saw how he was when he went onto the soft tires, and you saw. Remember, he had a penalty, and he when he literally passed everyone that he needed to pass, and he maintained the gap going forward while he finished where he finished.
Anthony, he was passing the cars of a similar caliber and possibly.
Yeah, I know, but
I wanted to say
you have to consider, like, everything does not equate to, simply that he was doing it so other cars could have. Obviously, there would have been an advantage, but given that there is a lot of holdback on those tires as well, you have to see that what is actually possible. Even with a soft set of tires, and in Mexico where slipstream itself doesn't work that well, and you've seen in the past how people have struggled to even remain behind due to that last. Even this year, I think people have struggled due to the last stadium section that they can't build up the speed for the main straight. You just cannot do that. I think saying that they would have won with any other strategy, that's just.
No, I'm not saying one with any other strategy, but what I'm saying is that instead of having
either way,
and George on the same tires.
No, I just think it wasn't possible. But
you know what would have saved Mercedes having that issue to make that decision if George has held on to P3. Simple, problem solved. But there was nothing. I mean, improving George's position is kind of like irrelevant, given that you're more interested in trying to win the race. So if you get George from P4 to P3, you still haven't won the race. And that's what the aim was. And they didn't have any pace. They were never going to outpace Max to win the race. And if you no matter which tire you put them on, the Red Bull is just naturally a quicker car than the Mercedes. So you can't match them tire strategy for tire strategy. You have to do something different to them. Starting on the mediums was a good idea, but the soft went longer than they thought it would have.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yes,
that's why they were saying that.
Thanos, that's what we're saying. They're very conservative with the strategy. Yeah, they're extremely conservative with it.
But if you leave George on if you left George on the medium again, George would have found himself still behind Perez. He wasn't going fast enough to that if he had gone longer, it would have helped him in the end because Perez was basically catching him.
But even if he.
But you see, they still keep missing the mark. I mean, look at Miami, look at USC, look at Qatar, look at Zandvoort, look at Mexico, look at Miami. Lewis ended up what?
I wouldn't say they're missing the mark. The team
I think Qatar was the same, still tire strategy.
I just think
they just keep dropping the ball.
It's more of a.
Hold on.
But it's more of a knowing their position and playing.
You just mentioned Miami. What did they do wrong in Miami?
Did they pit Lewis on that at that lap when they pitted him? They should have pitted him earlier.
No,
they should have pit him earlier.
Lewis lost the position. No, Lewis lost the position because there was a VSC. That's why he lost. They didn't do anything wrong in terms of strategy in Miami. They gave him a strategy that basically he was ahead of George and he was going to stay ahead of George, but the VSC came out and he lost out to the VSC. So I don't see what you mean they did something wrong. I don't get it.
What about Imola? Why did they let him stay on that long? Why didn't they give him the soft? So he could come up from behind that DRS train. Imola. I mean, Thanos, they.
He was carrying like 5 to 6 kilos of sensor in Imola, and he was carrying 5 to 6 kilos in Imola and an experimental setup. There was do you think that he was going to drive around that when they knew that fight wasn't theirs and they were bouncing incredibly? That was the launch spec car, which couldn't handle the high speed sections, and it was extremely unstable. And do you think that putting on the softs would have helped the car in a wet condition when it can't generate tire temperature?
But look at that. Look at it, Varun. No one, the Williams was the head of that DRS train. and no one could pass the Williams, even though the Williams didn't have DRS.
Yeah, and that was the launch spec Williams. That's not even the fastest Williams. That's how bad it was there. I mean, I know I'm in the same boat, and I want Lewis to succeed. But there are times when we're just making up stories because right now there's a lot of resentment from what happened last year, and then not having the good car this year. So we're just finding flaws with everything. Some of the flaws don't exist. There's obviously a flaw with the car that exists, right? But in terms of some of these strategy faults and a bad VSC call, that these things don't exist in reality. They were out of control for them.
Yeah, because I mean, sure, they've made some.
I think Spain was also good. A loss, like they're just losses to Lewis's overall race where he couldn't actually do anything. So yeah,
I think it's easy to say, oh, it's because of strategy. Sure, they've made mistakes, but sometimes you have to look at the race and think, well, it doesn't matter what strategy you pull, you weren't going to succeed because you just have a car that's slower. And if the car is slower, it's not going to work.
I agree totally with you, Thanos. I don't see this year anyway, even though we've made improvements starting from the beginning of the year up to where we are now, we've made vast improvements. We're getting there, but we still don't have the pace to match those cars in front.
Exactly.
The Red Bulls, and and no matter what strategy we pull, it's not going to happen because we just don't have the pace.
Yeah,
if you're on the same tires, even if you put, for example, Max in Lewis's car and Lewis in that, and you swap the situation, Max would never be able to catch Lewis in that Red Bull. Never. It's not possible.
No, but you also have to see, like, if George didn't win it this time and everybody got their laps. I think I pinned a tweet where Lewis was actually faster and he could have gotten up to like P4 or P5, but Red Bull had the ultimate pace. There was no way on earth, on equal terms and equal times, there was enough pace in the car to actually beat a Red Bull. The only way was to actually have an anomaly, and sadly that anomaly caught Lewis out instead of catching somebody else out.
So, I'm really interested to know what the formula is going to be for next season. Forget about this season. It would be good to get one win for Lewis this year, but if that doesn't happen, so be it. But what's the what have we got to look forward to next year? Because that's what's more concerning, to be honest.
Lewis to be back on top. That's what we're hoping for next season. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, he is still the number one driver at Mercedes, regardless of the fact that George is there. It's going to be very interesting now to see if Mercedes get their act together, which I hope they do, because I don't want another bullshit season with the same
year, bro.
You know what I'm saying? I would want to see them two go at it like how Jensen and Lewis did back in the day.
No, Jensen and Lewis didn't go at it. That was an unfair competition.
Yeah, I know.
That was a mismatch.
Yeah, but this is going to be healthy competition to see. Can Lewis still do it at the tender age of 30? How
the question isn't can Lewis still do it? The question is, can George keep up? Let's word that correctly. Can George actually fight with the big boys?
If
Lewis has proven himself.
Yeah.
George, it's your turn now.
Yeah, but George did though when he stepped into Lewis' car.
Please.
Oh God, we're not doing that.
No,
we're not doing that. Really? You're talking about a track that basically had two corners.
Listen. Put it this way: if the car is competitive next year, which I hope it is, because I'll be cussing.
It will be competitive.
Listen, I'll be cussing Mercedes if it isn't. Like they don't post anything for some.
And I'll be with you, cussing them too.
I'll be cussing them to the highest next season if their car's competitive. But we should see our boy back on top next season. Hopefully they get their shit together, which I'm praying that they do, because I don't want another miserable season like this. We should see the rightful owner get back his 9th title. He should win his 9th title next season. You know what I'm saying? So we will see the old Lewis Hamilton leave stuff to the last. Hooks up the car. He and the car be one, and him doing the business, and like, yes, Mercedes are back on top. You know what I'm saying? So that's.
But you got to give it to him, bruv. This is considering what he's been through last season and how he's fought this season and how he's racing now. He's really doing exceptionally well, honestly. It's also been a bit of bad luck just with, you know, strategies in some cases, back to that, and also just situations, you know, safety cars, whatever it is. It just hasn't fallen in his way, but the car has been his biggest downfall. And considering that being the headache, I mean, the guy's really tried.
Yeah, of course. You know, you can't take away from him that obviously he's had to do experiments on the car, which is why we first thought George was out qualifying him, but it was the experiments that he had in his car. I'm hoping next season they put the experiments on George's car so that he can.
I won't be doing the experiments next season because they've got enough. They've basically said they've figured out what created the issues they've had and what reason why the car is slow this year. So, you know, it's a matter of fixing it.
So is it a new car? Is it a W14 next season, or is it the same car?
No,
it's
gonna be
an evolution. It's
evolution
of the W14. There's going to be an evolution of this month.
They said that it's gonna change.
But what does change mean? What does change mean?
They said that the evolution of the car is going to change. It's not going to be the same car that we saw this season.
Yeah, I read somewhere something about changing back to side pods and.
Exactly.
No, they said the DNA of the car is going to change, but no one knows what the DNA of the car is.
Yeah, they have not given a lot away. It could be the chassis. It could be anything. We don't know.
They basically that the car is
definitely suspension is going to change. They're going to change the rear suspension.
Yeah,
but from what the guys were saying, that if it's going to be an evolution of the car, and it's not going to be the same as it is this season, I'm thinking that they may go back to side pods. I don't know. I'm just speculating.
Why keep talking about side pods? Like, side pods is not the reason why they're slow.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, sure, it's the most visible thing, but
yeah,
it's not the reason why they're slow. It has more to do with it than just side pods.
Well, it could have some extent to do with it because it's part to do with the downforce, and that's where the biggest problem is.
Yes,
remember, the main problem, if you recall from the beginning of the season, was they couldn't, when they ran the car high, the car ran smoothly. It wasn't as bumpy, which means but they couldn't get the speed because they didn't have adequate downforce. Remember that.
So it tells you it's a suspension issue then.
Yeah, not only suspension, it's also to do with the ride height. Yeah, so to run the car faster. To run the car faster. Sorry, the phone's echoing for some.
Who's that? Someone has the. I think. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, to run the car faster, you need to run it at a lower height, but that was creating more bumps. That's the problem we were having. Mm-hmm. That's why it was a balance between trying to give it, and the more bumps you have, the more instability. So it was trying to balance between the bumps and instability and and giving a comfortable ride, or not comfortable, but at least as best as possible. You see, so that's where the problem was. So it's a combination with the suspension, ride height, which is suspension, but also to do with the downforce the car created due to the height it was set. You see.
So again, so the key, what do you call it? The
point.
The common denominator in all of that is what? Suspension. Not side pods, it's suspension.
I just don't think
if you go onto YouTube and find Mike Elliott's Beyond the Grid interview, you will hear him kind of expound more on.
No, you know why I'm not saying I don't agree totally that it's suspension, because suspension can be tuned to be hard or soft. Okay, it's to do also with the rideability of the car. It doesn't necessarily control.
The geometry of the suspension has to be considered as well, and they can't change the geometry of the suspension during a budget cap. So they can't. Who's that? So all of the changes that they need to do, They can't do that under a budget cap. So they've done the best they can to tune the suspension to make it as comfortable as possible for the guys. So I'm fairly confident that majority of the issue they're having is suspension related. It's not so much about side pods. It's more suspension. That's where the biggest issue is. Because if you listen to what they said, they said they designed the car to run as low, basically flat to the ground, low as possibly can. So that means they've come up with a suspension geometry that allows them to do that. But then once they start doing that, then they realize, okay, it's creating porpoising. They had to readjust that. So they couldn't change the geometry because that would entail they probably have to change the gearbox casing as well and the mounting points of where they mount the suspension arms on the chassis. So all of those things would have to change. And they can't do that during a budget cap.
Okay. If that's your point, then explain to me why, for example, they adapted that front wing which they were disallowed to use with extra dynamics to create more downforce.
Yeah, but
if it was to do only, or not only, but if the suspension was the main issue, why would they be still making adjustments to the wings, the back wing and the front wing?
Yeah, because they have to balance the whole thing out. They have to balance the aerodynamics front and rear. So they can't just do something to the suspension and then expect, okay, that's going to balance everything out. So they have to so they have to kind of like balance the front wing and the rear wing downforce levels equally.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, but Thanos, they're talking about changing the shape, the shape of it.
They did not say that.
Oh, they did. That they will be making some changes to it. Thanos. Okay.
The car will change and it will.
Sorry, I'll just
the DNA of the car.
Sorry, guys, 1 second.
I think we should place a bet. That car is coming back with side pods. W14 will have visible side pods.
Okay.
I bet you, Thanos.
It has side pods now, but it's just not as big as the other ones.
That's what I'm saying. They're going to return to the bigger ones. That's my bet. That's part of the DNA change they're talking about.
And if they go back to the bigger side pods, okay, they went back to bigger side pods.
Sorry, guys. I've just put something in the chat. Venice, I think I sent you this link before. So if you look at the top of the space, so I put in there, the Clues Mercedes will abandon unique F1 side pods for 2023. TheRace.com / and that where it talks what James.
I've seen the video. They're making assumptions. We don't know until we see what they unveil in February next year. Nobody knows what they're going to do. So it's all an assumption. I don't know. I don't know if they're going to stick with the side pod with the design they have, or they're going to change it. We don't know. We're just going to have to see. All I've heard them say is the DNA of the car is going to change. It won't look like it does this year. What that means, I don't know.
An evolution.
I don't know.
As long as it wins, I honestly, I
don't give.
I really,
I
can't have another year like this one.
And if the side pods was an issue, I mean, look how the car has evolved. You know, if you list again at the start of the year, the second Bahrain test, they asked Andy Shovlin about their side pod design compared to every other team, and he basically said, look, the way their car is built, that car can incorporate any side pod design on the grid. Anyone, it's easy. It's just bodywork. They can actually build a different side pod to put on the car. It's not a problem. You saw,
that's true.
Aston did the same thing with theirs. So Mercedes, but what you then realize, had Mercedes concept worked, teams couldn't copy that.
Look at Williams. Williams do a no side pod thing, and then they changed. That's
what I'm saying. Side pod is just body work. So you can the Mercedes, the Red Bull side pod. If Mercedes wanted, they could have built Red Bull style side pods and put on the W13. They said that's not a problem.
Well, they did remember when they first brought out the car, they had side pods.
That design was that It's the same thing they did in previous years.
Yeah, I
The
know.
first car you saw in the first test is where they stop development at a certain point in the season, so they can build a car to go testing on.
You mean because they were trying to stick in budget, right?
No. They've done it. They did it before.
No, I mean Mercedes.
No. It's something they've always done. When it gets to a certain point in the year, they stop developing the package to that point and said, okay, they need that to go to the first test. So they stop there so they can build parts and so forth to go to the first test. And then from there on, they then work on the package. Which year was it? Was it
2017 when they brought their first car?
And then they brought a different one to the second test. It's something they've always done.
It was the nose. They changed the nose for that funny shaped nose that they had in 2017. So they had a A-spec car which they brought to testing, and then they changed it to the B-spec car, which is when Lewis won.
It's not really so much a B-spec. It's just where they basically they improved. They carried on developing the package. So they just stopped at. So they probably okay. So they get to this December, and they say, okay, we're going to stop developing here, so we can get these parts built, so we can go test it. Get to the first test, where the first test is all about mileage. First test is really about performance. It's when you get to the second test where you see them bring other packages, and then they start looking at performance. So whenever you see the first test, just take the first test as about doing mileage. That's it. Just make sure the engine works, all the systems, iron out all the kinks, and then once they get to the second test, because the second test is 2 weeks before the main race, that's when they start focusing on performance.
Well, I hope they've got a car next year that's got straight line.
They'll be fine.
Straight line speed that's what they need next season. They need that straight line speed.
They'll be fine. Look. They've won 8 championships in a row. They're not idiots. You don't forget how to build a championship winning car because you had one bad season. They say they knew from when they did the unveil at Silverstone, they realized from then when the car went out for its first run that, oh shit, there's a problem. And they said it was a decision that they made last year, October. Is it October? Yeah. It was a decision they made last year, October, and they can't fix it until this winter because, again, it's a budget cap. And I made the argument before that had we been in a season whereby money was not an issue, there was no cap on what they could spend, they would have fixed the issues they were having a long time ago. I think by the time we get to maybe Spain or even Silverstone, it would have been rectified and you'd have seen a different package. But once money's in, once you have the budget, you just have to eat the problem until you can fix it during the winter, which is pretty much what they're going to do. And I'm fairly confident that they will do it, and you're going to see a more competitive package next year. I think you're going to find, because again, they're not that far off Red Bull in terms of overall pace. They're probably about 2 to 3 tenths overall off the pace of Red Bull. And when you consider that at the start of the year, they're all almost a second, they've clawed back a significant amount of performance.
Yeah. Exactly, without making the biggest change.
Exactly, and that's with a side pod, no side pod.
Yeah.
So and if they've identified the issues that they said they're now aware of what the issue was and they can fix it and so forth, then I expect to see them come next year. They're going to be far more competitive because they're not that far off Red Bull. They're not that far off. It's probably 2 to 3 tenths over a lap. That's what they're missing. And if you're coming from being nearly a second at the start of the year to being 2 to 3 tenths off at the end of the year, granted, Red Bull probably stop doing development. It still doesn't matter. Mercedes isn't really doing that much development themselves. It's a significant progress over the year.
I agree.
So we just have to sit, keep our fingers crossed, and hope that next year we do see something better, and go from there. And I think they're gonna be fine.
So what's your predictions for tomorrow, guys?
Oh god. Another boring race. Max gonna win the sprint race. Starts on pole on Sunday, then drive off. So it's gonna be a boring race. I just hope Lewis is able to get a better starting position for Sunday, and you never know. Maybe we can sneak a podium. But it's still advantage Red Bull and Max.
Do you not think Kevin is gonna start fighting Max for that pole?
No. He'd probably pass him by if he doesn't pass him by the start, he'll probably pass him by lap 2. No.
How many laps are there again? 25?
Was it 24 they had last year? I think it was 24. Yeah, so I think it's probably 24 laps. He'd be past K-Mag within.
As long as Alonso doesn't try to crush Lewis.
Yeah, that's my thing. No, I don't like
Alonso
anywhere near that guy. He's bad vibes. I don't like. I mean, I prefer if he starts in Peru and Lewis starts where he is.
Who were you complaining about?
Alonso. I want Alonso starting races in Peru. I don't want him starting near Lewis. Send him to Peru or Colombia, somewhere far away. Just keep him away from Lewis. I don't like the dude. He's bad vibes.
And if it rains, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, it was nice chatting to everybody. I'm gonna go now. It's 10 o'clock. I'm gonna get some sleep. So we catch up again tomorrow. Hopefully, it's a better day for Lewis and Mercedes. Take it easy, everyone.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for hosting. Cheers.
Yeah, go.